Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Bustanet. My name is Rashidi, and we are back again. We're gonna be taking a look at the match engine for FM16, see what's different and what's not. Last week, I showed you a methodology on how we can go about studying the match engine. Now, whatever I discuss on the YouTube show here, I do cover in depth on my blog as well, and I will tie it back and forth. And what I said on the show was how important it is for me to use FMT mode because it's rules out gelling, so it makes it a lot easier for me to try things out. Back in the game, the first time I use the tactic, I use minimum shouts and I try things out as I go. So I'm not going to go through every single game because then this shows, all my shows are going to be like 30-minute epic shows, and I don't like doing really long shows because the file sizes get very big. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I spot things. And essentially, it's going to be a look back on all the games I've played so far. The first game, I used the defensive tactic, and then I started changing things around. In the following games, I realized certain things, and I'm going to share this with you so that you understand where I'm coming from. So, first up, let's look at the match between Liverpool and Bayer Leverkusen. How I'm going to do things is I'm going to look at using the Prozone cameras themselves so that we can have ascertain how we performed. So here you have Liverpool. At this point in time, we're still using the 4-3-1-2. We haven't changed anything yet. I was very concerned in one of the matches because I'm seeing the defensive line seems to be a bit higher with fullbacks. It makes it almost appear as if there's acres of space behind the fullbacks that can be exploited. And if you play your fullbacks on attacking, or even if you put a complete wing back there, you're gonna have issues. It gets even more pronounced if you don't have a midfielder in front of him because that means that your fullback's exposed. So what I started to look at is my heat maps as well. So I'm looking at my heat maps to see how my heat maps are doing. Then I'll stick up the positions of the players when they have the ball. The goal here is to make sure that my players are well spread out. And when they don't have the ball, I want to see them take up good positions as well. These are things that I look at in the game and during the course of the game. The most significant thing that I found out about the game itself was that we conceded goals fairly easily from the wings. So let's look at Nicholas Erding's goal here. Once again, I use the same base that I used before, but I made some changes. The 4-3-1-2 that I've used from the past actually featured ball winning midfielders and central midfielders and support. Here you can see very clearly that there was space that was exploited by their player on the flanks. They played a 4-4-2 and they scored fairly easily from that. Again here, space that was exploited. Okay, good cross in. I actually like this goal. It's a toe poke in. Very nice goal. And then we ourselves, we didn't do too badly. We had a good start. Klein crossing and Ings scoring his first goal of the season. I mean, in preseason. Then, of all things, Ben DK starts scoring goals as well. I'm looking at where my players are. So Klein is in a very good position, and it's something I can exploit. At the moment, there's acres of space here. If the AI has not been set up well, you can exploit that space. Now, if you look at another match, let's look at Rayo Vallecano. Now, Liverpool again. Now I've done something slightly different as in this match. Okay, if you look at my formation, what I did was we were playing against a 4-2-3-1. Now they had an attacking fullback here, so I kept both my fullbacks on support. There was one slight difference. In order for me to win, I noticed something in FM 16. In FM15, you could play this guy as a ball-winning midfielder. You could play this guy as a central midfielder and support. And this guy could be a deep-lying playmaker. Effectively, you could tell all three guys, I just want you to hold this area of the pitch, while you get this guy, fullbacks, to actually lend the width so that you can get like a five-man attack in the box. Now you will find that you actually need midfielders to become water carriers as well. So they need to be more involved in the game. In my first game, I couldn't get this guy involved. I couldn't get Emre Can involved. So what I've done that what change that I made was to get Emre Can to play more of a to play more as a attacking play to play more as a playmaker from midfield so that he pushes up slightly higher. Up front, I don't use a deep lying forward on support. It's actually a deep lying forward now on attack so that we get gaps forming between all three. And Coutinho, who was an attacking midfielder on attack, is now becoming an attacking midfielder on support. So he drops down as well. So we get triangles to get the ball. We create triangles so that the ball can be passed around. We also, because it's because I noticed there are these gaps that form whenever Klein goes up. This entire space behind Klein is something that can be exploited. A fix that I think is kind of easy to do. I just tell my defensive line to drop a bit deeper. Another thing, I want them to be a bit more counter-attacking, but I want them to be another. One other thing I want them to do is I need them to have a bit more cut and thrust when they attack. So in order for that to happen, I want them the guys at the back. I noticed as well they were like lumping balls forward. There's now a greater inclination for these guys at the back to play some ridiculously stupid passes. So what I've done is play risky passes across the back. I'll reduce them. So all of them have got to play less risky passes. That means that they will try and find these guys and Milner, Allen, and Emre Can to pass the ball around. So let's take a look at our next game. We played Rayo Vallecano. If you look at our stats, once again, I'm playing a counter-attacking formation, so my possession is less. I don't really care. If we look at the goals, again now, before I go to the goals, one thing I want to see all the time is this, our average positions. Again, this is a substitute. Joe Allen will come on later for Lucas Leiva. And you can see that the three of them form this 23, 24, and 27. These are my central midfielders. Okay. Now, then we've got 10, who's Philippe Coutinho, whose average position is here. That's good. And then we've got one of these strikers, our strikers as well, creating these pockets for movement. So the ball actually moves around quite well. Now you notice when we have the ball, how far away we are from the goalkeeper. So what I've done is one of the things I do is I play a deeper defensive line. So you can see how the players step forward, clear the lines. We played one from the top, and that actually comes as a result of me asking my midfielders to be one of my midfielders to play a more influential game in the match. We finished our friendlies, then we had our first match against Watford, which turned out to be very interesting. Okay, here again, same lineup. I haven't done anything. It's still a counter-attacking formation. Interestingly enough, this time they're playing a 4-2-3-1 deep. 4-2-3-1 deep. When you look at this formation, it's defensive. There's no rocket science involved. 7 players actually in their half. So yeah, they've got a defensive system. So what I did was I stuck to my guns and stayed playing counter-attacking. No change in my tactics. If I looked at my heat map for this game as well, Liverpool's heat map was pretty solid. I like my heat map because we control the center of the pitch for long periods of time, lots of corners. And if you look at our width ball, I like the spread of our players. I needed Coutinho to drop back, so he's actually now a lot deeper, so he can string passes too, and our players can move the ball around. And I'm not going to go through all the goals. I've forgotten which are the memorable ones now. Okay, winning the ball in our half and moving the ball out. Long searching ball from our deep line playmaker. So let's look at the system I'm using. If you look at the screen, you will see that I'm using a counter system with 5 team shouts. I figured things out pretty quickly. So what I've done is I've gone back to using get stuck in. If anybody still remembers, my defensive systems use get stuck in all of them. I just want them to tackle more. I'm also playing with a much deeper defensive line, and I'm looking at my players to overlap and work the ball into the box. Why do I want them to work the ball into the box? The first game I played, I noticed a lot of wasted shots and a lot of aimless crosses and a lot of deep punts from in my own half. So I've done, I told them to look for the overlap, work the ball into the box, and play more direct. And I think this should be enough for my system for now. Something else that I do in between match highlights, we get stats from the game. So I change that around. I have match stats on the right, and I use the Prozone's shots on goal because I want to know if I'm making clear cut chances inside the box or not. And if I'm not, I'll do certain things to change things around. So I'm actually focusing to see what kind of chances we create. Because if and also since I'm playing counter attacking, I'm expecting the AI to attack me more than me attack it. So I also want to see where their shots are coming from. Okay, our next game was a 1-all draw against Swansea City. Not something I was too happy about, but okay, it's time to look at the actual game itself, or stats from the game at least. Liverpool created a fair bit of chances from inside the box. Even though it was a 1-all draw, I could say that, yeah, I'm satisfied. I don't normally play counter-attacking systems or defensive systems, and I use those terms interchangeably because I haven't done anything like that for a long time, so I'm kind of happy anyway. Now, when I want to play those kind of systems where I'm counter-attacking or being defensive, I want to compare myself to the other team. And if you look at Swansea, they only really had 2 shots from inside the box. So I don't account the ones from here or here. I rather look at these two. Now, none of these you could consider them to be good chances because a good chance is going to be somewhere around here. So I'm happy. Okay, we did really well in our final game. We beat Manchester United away from home 1-0, courtesy of a goal from Origi. Now, that was more like a goal from a parry from the keeper off a free kick. What's more interesting for me was the stats. We were playing away from home, playing a counter attacking tactic, had 8 shots on target out of 12. What a conversion rate that was. United at home had 1 shot on target. The whole game, 1 shot on target. So I am actually really happy at how this match turned out. Now let's look at the analysis again and look at Manchester United's shots on target. So you see they missed their target from range. They had 1 shot saved from way out there and 2 blocked. On the whole, very good performance away from home. So we've played a few matches this season. We're okay after scoring 7 goals in the opening game. We've like only put in 3 in the next 3. Played pretty well. We gave United a lot of troubles at Old Trafford. In our next game, we are going to be playing against the Arsenal side. We are going to be at home, so I'm pretty excited about that match. However, we are going to change our tactics. So I'm going to try something different now. We now know that for a counter, I at least I know, for my counter attacking systems, I will be getting my players to tackle harder. I will get the midfielders in my 4-3-1-2 because we don't have a midfield. We don't really have a guy standing in front of the fullback, so he's a bit exposed. Because he's exposed, I'll get those side midfielders to close out much more. Furthermore, we will play with a deeper defensive line so that we reduce the space between the last line and the goal so that if a ball is dropped into that space, they don't have to run that far. which brings me to my next point. You gotta look at their condition to see whether or not they have better acceleration. If they don't have better acceleration, you gotta think. I will have to think about other ways of getting the job done, about controlling the space there. Finally, the water carrier. There has to be some kind of a link, better link between midfield and the striking strata. So I actually had a central AMC playing in attack last season. This season I'm gonna drop him down to support and also play a playmaker more or less on the right flank. On in the other midfielder slot in central midfield. So on the whole, the system looks a lot like what it looked like last season with some minor changes. This position is now this position is no longer a deep lying forward and support. It's something else. So it's an attacking forward and attack, deep line forward and support, and an attacking with AMC on support. Well, I hope that this helped. I tried to show you how I try to understand the match engine in as short a time as possible. I did this basically in less than 10 games. I figured out that the counter-attacking system has certain prerequisites. So we have some changes from how we played last season. Same 4-3-1-2 system has now got role changes in 3 positions. Furthermore, we are also using a new shout in much deeper defensive line simply because of the space that is now apparent behind the fullbacks. If you have any questions, you know where you can find me. You can find me here or by dropping a comment or liking the video, or you can find me at addicted2fm.com. And if you have more questions, of course, always drop by SI forums. I'm also there too. I hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.